Hello all, my name is Lasse Leponiemi. I'm the co-founder and executive director of HundrED. HundrED is a Finnish mission-driven organization, and we do education innovation research globally. We started in 2015 to first identify Finnish education innovations, different kind of solutions and practices that were supporting the execution of the Finnish curriculum within the Finnish public education system. And after that, we have been successfully published 500 global collections, following closely the trends in the global education innovations around the world. Today, we are hosting a community which is having members from over 100 countries, 107 to be specific, and we have over 2,000 innovations publicly available on our platform, HundrED.org. And today in this session, I will be talking briefly how education systems can be transformed and how can we build resilience and well-being within our education communities. While we have been working together with education innovations coming from different contexts and backgrounds, the first thing we should always remember that education systems and the way how we are creating our curriculums and how we are creating the opportunities for learning are very much contextual. That means that when we are approaching the educational challenges, for example, here in Finland, the system we are working with will differ quite a bit from the ones we might be having in Latin American countries, in Africa, in the USA, or in Asian countries. And we need to always understand that most likely, especially if I'm thinking about our organization, we need to rely on our education specialists who are working within those contexts to understand what is needed when we want to improve the education on a system level. One of the key insights for us at HundrED is, though, that we are far more alike than different. When we are working closely with education innovators and systems across the world, we are seeing that at the moment, many of the systems are working pretty much on the same kind of issues and challenges, no matter where they are coming from. If we are thinking about the past 2.5 years, 3 years, one of the key phenomena affecting the world of education globally has been the pandemic of the COVID-19. We were seeing how big and often quite bureaucratic educational systems were doing their best to transform quickly in asynchronous and hybrid learning models, and in some cases, coping with the school closures and trying to build the best possible learning opportunities for their students during those challenging times. And when we are looking what kind of solutions and practices were emerging during those times, few things come across. First one is that one of the key aspects we have to remember is that when we are building something and when we are trying to address such a big changes within our systems, we have to be building resilience not only within our students, but also within the system we are working with. When we are looking for the results, for example, how well different education systems were coping during those challenging times, the ones that were able to focus on student and teacher well-being, and the ones who were having already some capabilities for working in online and asynchronous learning models were far more resilient than the ones who had to build all those skills and competencies from the ground up. So therefore, we see that especially when something new is being implemented at the system level or at the school level, the resilience is one of the key factors how those implementation processes can be made successfully. Then secondly, we should always rely on the best possible experts within the context. And usually those are teachers and students who will be affected by the changes and by the new solutions and practices being implemented in the field. And when those new solutions and practices are being implemented, there is one crucial point that should be always taken into account, and that's adaptation. For example, when a new educational innovation is being implemented in a new context, it's very rare that it could fit the purpose of the self. Very often, we have to think how that innovation can be adapted to the local curriculum, to the local educational system, and then routines and normal habits of the school environment where it will be used. So therefore, we have to pay attention so that we keep the pedagogical core as it is, but we think how we can adapt this solution or practice in a way that it will fit the system we are having. And often the best experts to do that work are the teachers and the students who will be then eventually benefiting the most from that solution. And then the third point that where we should be paying attention when we are thinking about transforming education systems, we are not able to change the whole system overnight. Rather than that, we should be trying to identify these educational innovations that can improve bits and pieces within the system. And when we are doing the change like this by multiple interventions within the existing system, we can partly see how the whole system starts to transform to be something that we desire. And all that work should be done according to curriculum needs and demands. So improving the system should always be tied up with the curriculum renewals and improvements as well. One of the challenges is that often the curriculum renewals and improvements are a little bit slow. And this might create tension between the field and the policy level of education systems. So therefore, the resilience is also needed within those teachers who are more willing to already improve something within the system, but also with the policymakers who can be often saying, for example, in our discussions, that they would hope to be able to move faster with the solution practices that they would like to introduce for the field. So as we see, transforming education systems can be a little bit complex thing to do. But no matter how complex it will be, it's possible to do through multiple innovation interventions. And while we are listening closely what the best experts are saying on the field, but also in academia. And in that way, we can create sustainable improvements within our education system. And if you are interested in this kind of innovations, you can always head to our website and find what kind of practical solutions can transform education system in different contexts.